Yesterday, we talked on the podcast about how at this early stage, I mean, listen, it's not even an early stage. We're not even at the 2024 primary season. We're not even beyond the 2022 primaries. There have been some Republicans that are already endorsing Donald Trump. Jim Jordan, for example. We have also seen some Republicans declare they will not support Donald Trump, even if he does run. This is starting to get even weirder because Donald Trump has now signaled that he is running in 2024 in a bizarre Truth Social post in which he referred to himself as the future president of the United States. Seems very clearly to be saying, I'm running. Let's review this bizarre post. Trump writing, quote, "Why would a future president of the United States want to have candid and important conversations with his White House counsel if he thought there was even a small chance that this person, essentially acting as a lawyer for the country, may someday be brought before a partisan and openly hostile committee in Congress, or even a fair and reasonable committee, to reveal the inner secrets of foreign policy or other important matters? So bad for the USA." Trump really a legend in his own mind. So what is he talking about? I know you might see this and say, that's like a verbal ink blot. What is that? Trump is referring to his former White House counsel, Pat Cipollone, which I last week was pronouncing Cipollone. People very politely corrected me, and they said it is actually only pronounced Cipollone.
No more Dropbox.
Exactly. We all make mistakes. So Trump here is saying, listen, this was the lawyer for the country, but that is a fundamental misunderstanding. The White House counsel is the president's lawyer. Now, in an ideal world, the president's interests are aligned with the country's interests. In particular, when Donald Trump was president, the country's interests and Trump interests were completely at odds. They were not in any way aligned. And so the idea that Pat Cipollone, by representing President Trump, is representing the interests of the country is nonsense. Now, the other thing is that he wasn't having the conversation. So he says, as a future president, I'm disincentivized from talking to my lawyer if I think my lawyer might someday be dragged before a committee. Trump's conversations with Cipollone when Trump was president were not conversations as a future president. If that was the case, you might be able to make a stronger argument that they are protected by attorney-client privilege. Cipollone can't be forced to testify. We wouldn't even be having this discussion. Trump was the president. Cipollone represented him. They were actively engaged in inciting a riot, trying to overturn an election Trump lost, all these different things. And of course, Cipollone's testimony would be eminently reasonable and relevant. And it's supposedly going to be happening behind closed doors. Cipollone today, scheduled to be speaking to the House committee. Whether it happens, we will figure that out. Now, for one moment, I thought, did Trump mean as a future prisoner rather than as a future president? That's wishful thinking. I don't expect that to happen. Now, a few hours later, just to kind of close the circle on this insanity, Trump added some other strange comments in subsequent posts, also related to the investigations into him, writing, quote, "Both of my phone calls to Georgia were perfect." Now, of course, those were the calls where Trump asked for votes.
I need 11,000 votes. Give me a break.
Trump going on and saying, I had an absolute right to make them. And in fact, the story on the one call was given a retraction or apology by the Washington Post because they were given terribly false information about it. Now, that's not true. And when they heard the actual call, they realized their story was wrong. Thank you to the Washington Post. I, as does anyone else, just look at the Democrats, have the absolute right to challenge the results of an election, this one corrupt, rigged, and stolen. Continuing, saying, quote, "I did nothing wrong in Georgia, but others did. They cheated in the 2020 presidential election, and those are the ones that should be investigated and prosecuted. Letter to follow." And I have not seen the letter that supposedly follows. This is a desperate, unhinged man clawing any relevance that he can obtain. And of course, it's always the opposite. For 6 months, he said the Democrats are going to try to steal the election. He tried to steal the election. For months, he said the Democrats are going to mess with these ballots, dumps of ballots and mail-in ballots. And ultimately, it was Trump and his followers and his lawyers going around the country making bogus claims about those very mail-in ballots. The allegations are ultimately confessions with these guys. We've got to be ready for 2022, and we've got to be ready for 2024. Will we be ready? That's the question. Let me know what you think. Find me on Twitter at dpacman. Science has shown us that lowering your body temperature at night improves sleep in many ways. Our sponsor, Chili Sleep, creates systems that cool down your bed, promoting deeper, higher quality sleep. It also just feels great. I use it at home. I'd recommend it to anyone, and I've recommended it to some friends who now use it as well. Chili Sleep's product, the Ooler, the Cube, and the Dock Pro, they're all water-based, temperature-controlled pads that fit onto your existing mattress. You can keep your bed as low as 55 degrees, as hot as 115 degrees. I like 60. Their new Dock Pro sleep system has double the cooling power of other models, 5 times the cooling contact, whisper quiet. You can control it with your phone. It's awesome. With Chili Sleep, there's no more feeling hot at night, no more sweating. Cooling your bed down like this is amazing. You really have to try it for yourself. When you go to chilisleep.com/Pacman, you'll get 30% off the Ooler and Cube sleep systems and 10% off the new Dock Pro. This offer is only for my audience. The link is down below.